Hello everybody. For the past few years, certain words have developed new meanings. For example, woke, a word once used to describe the act of waking up, is now used to describe a person who feels the need to be personally offended by everything they don't agree with. Wholesome is a word that was once used to describe something with purely good values. However, now it's used by Visco girls on Instagram to prove how joyful and upbeat they are. Oh my gosh, you guys, look how wholesome the clouds look today. It's so pretty. Whoa. But none of these words have annoyed me as much as one in particular. The word of the day is aesthetic. Gone are the days where you can look at a photograph and say, that's a lovely general aesthetic. Now the word aesthetic is used to describe a certain feeling or an emotion, and there's loads of them. Like there's a multiple page list online of just different aesthetics that represent some kind of weird emotion. Usually it's something kind of sad and depressing, like the sad boy aesthetic, but there are happier ones like the wholesome or Visco aesthetic. For anyone that's still kind of unclear, an aesthetic is now just a way of describing something's general mood. For example, oh my gosh, Stacy, you have such a bitter aesthetic. Yeah, gross. Or it could be like, oh my goodness, Stacy, you have such a kind, loving aesthetic today. It's really wholesome. Now you might be wondering why I have such a problem with this. I mean, it's kind of weird, but it's not affecting anyone, right? Well, it is. There are some people that feel the need to stand out without really standing out. And for whatever reason, those people tend to gravitate towards an aesthetic they like. And what's the problem with that? The problem with that is that they decorate their room to that aesthetic. They dress to that aesthetic. They hold themselves back from things they'd usually enjoy just because of their stupid aesthetic. Why? It's ironic to me that in order to stand out, people are making their decisions based on this weird persona they just gave themselves. If you look up any aesthetic followed by the term starter kit, then you can see the list of things that you must have if you want to be accepted into this weird personality depriving cult. I mean, I was mind blown when I saw these starter kits because it put into perspective how many people I know dedicate their lives to these weird little stereotypes. I mean, take a look at the Visco aesthetic starter kit. That's a good 2/3 of the girls in my school. Not to stereotype, it could be boys as well, I'm just saying. I think the reason that no one I've seen has really addressed this is because of how hard it is to explain. So here's my sloppy attempt at fully explaining the new meaning of aesthetic. So like, it's kind of just like sort of a way of branding yourself. So if someone were to lay out all of your social media posts, everything you wear, everything you do for fun, it would kind of fit into like a bigger picture, like a general aesthetic, if you will. And you think following an aesthetic makes you look unique and quirky, but it actually kind of just makes you look basic and unsophisticated. Cool, so now maybe you understand this concept a little bit better, and hopefully you can see why it's not a good thing. It's not, it's bad. So you know how I said that people that follow an aesthetic don't post things on social media unless it specifically caters to their aesthetic? Well, there are some accounts on social media that post things specifically catered to one aesthetic. It's kind of like meme accounts. You follow it to see the latest memes, except you follow these ones for things that aren't memes, or funny, or entertaining. It's just content that weirdly suits a certain aesthetic. But it only gets weirder still because these accounts only post things that have like a weird 80s vintage lo-fi feel to them, which can be cool, but it's just done so horribly and like, you know, effortlessly. It just doesn't look very good. For the happier aesthetic accounts, they post some peaceful, kind of retro 80s looking stuff, which is actually kind of cool from time to time. But for the sadder ones, it's some over-edited montage of basically anything with a sad rap song in the background. What I really don't get is why in the sadder ones, there's always The Simpsons. Why The Simpsons? Why do you have to ruin another good thing? Why the freaking Simpsons? If you go on YouTube, you might come across the term how to be aesthetic, and they don't even follow a certain type of aesthetic, making things even more confusing. Multiple of the top search results for this term are from a YouTuber called Isla Brewer. So let's find out how to be aesthetic, shall we?
The first step to being aesthetic is having a cancan. This backpack gets its own category because without it, you're just not aesthetic. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. If you do not have a cancan right now, pause this video and go and buy one. Because like I said, if you don't have this backpack, then you're not aesthetic.
So if we don't own a £120 backpack, we can't be aesthetic? Why? Why do people do this to themselves? Why would people pay £120 for the most mediocre looking backpack ever. Why would you pay that much just to prove that you aren't unique in the slightest? Just... why?
Your fashion game has to be on point, otherwise you'll just look basic. And who wants to be basic?
To call someone basic means calling them unoriginal and unsophisticated and someone who just follows the crowd. You are leading people into being basic, essentially making you the most basic person, ever. So to answer your question, you, Isla Brewer, you want to be basic. However, I do feel kind of bad, because it's unfair to categorize her channel as just some aesthetic makeup guru. So let's see what other kind of videos she has. How to be aesthetic at school, aesthetic room tour update, how to take aesthetic notes. Oh, never mind. Look, all I'm saying is that maybe we should just leave words with the definitions they have. The definition of aesthetic is a set of principles underlying the work of a particular artist or artistic movement. You know what? Maybe not that much has changed. I just think people have taken it a little bit too far. Or a lot too far. And I know this video came off a little bit stubborn, but I'll admit, some of those aesthetic video compilations are pretty cool. As a final note, you don't have to let some weird persona off the internet define who you are. If you really like a particular aesthetic, then go ahead and do whatever you like with it. Just don't like it because you're told that you should. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked it, please feel free to press the corresponding button. I post videos like this every week, so maybe consider subscribing so you can see the next one that I post, because it'll be pretty good, I think. And I sincerely hope that you have a nice day.